This movie absolutely destroyed me the first time I watched it. Let's do it. The movie opens with the producer of a paranormal investigation show called Grave Encounters explaining that the show had to end after episode 5 because the whole crew went missing. And it leads us into a found footage movie about the crew's last days while they are investigating an abandoned asylum. The crew consists of Lance, the host, Sasha, Matt, Houston, who is a fake medium, and TC, who's one of the cameramen. So they get to the asylum and they make it completely obvious that they are just a bunch of frauds. They're doing interviews with people asking them to lie about things that they've seen. Sasha asks Lance, do you think we're actually going to see anything this time? And Lance is like, fuck no. And again, they make it very clear that Houston is a fake medium and want him to be as dramatic as possible. Kenny, who's the caretaker, leads them into the hospital and explains to them the backstory. Basically, when the hospital was open, the main doctor was performing unethical experiments on the patients and they ended up murdering him. So again, they're walking through, they try to make it as dramatic as possible, though nothing happens right away. And they don't expect anything to happen because they don't really believe in this stuff. But as you can imagine, they are quickly proven wrong. The first thing that happens, a door slams on its own, Sasha's hair starts to be pulled, they start to hear these weird noises. They decide that this is getting a little too real, so they get Matt to go and get all the cameras so they can get the fuck out of there. But Matt never comes back. And Kenny, the caretaker, doesn't show up to get them at the time that he told them they would. Because before he left them, he rechained the doors shut so they couldn't get out until he came. So they're freaking out and they decide to bust open the front door. And when they do, it's more asylum. They close the door and see the death await sign, so they know it's the front door. So they're freaking out. According to their clocks, it's daytime, but it's still dark out. None of the windows will open. They cannot get out. They try to head to the roof, but where there's supposed to be a door, there's just wall. Weird shit continues to happen. A bed frame levitates and is thrown at them. While they're sleeping, the word hello is physically scratched into Sasha's back. They run into a room where they find a woman in a hospital gown facing the wall. And in an absolutely terrifying cinematic moment, her face turns around and completely distorts. As they go to run away from that, Houston gets separated from the crew, and we see him walking through the hallways, and an invisible force lifts him up and suffocates him and kills him. So now we have Lance, Sasha, and TC, the cameraman. They try to go to sleep, but when they wake up, they all have hospital bands on their wrists with their names on them. The three of them end up finding Matt in a room in a hospital gown and just completely insane. He tells them that they can leave the building when the doctor makes them better. They fall asleep again and they wake up to all these arms coming through the walls trying to grab them. They run into this room with this bathtub that is filled. Earlier they explained to us that a girl killed herself in the bathtub. And when TC goes to get Matt away from the bathtub, a figure comes out, grabs him, and pulls him in. They go to empty the bathtub and he's gone. So now it's just Lance and Sasha and a completely incoherent Matt. And they continue to be completely tormented by all these creepy spirits in the hospital. As they're still being attacked and all this chaos is happening, Matt ends up throwing himself down an elevator shaft and dying. So now we're left with Lance and Sasha. They go to the tunnels in the basement to try and find an exit. Sasha at this point is violently ill and coughing up blood. The two of them fall asleep and this mist comes and Sasha just disappears. So Lance is now by himself and wakes up absolutely panicked. But down there he finds a door, and behind the door he sees the apparition of the doctor performing experiments. They drag him away and lobotomize him. The last shot is a now lobotomized Lance saying that he's cured now and can finally leave.